Hey guys, so if you don't know me, I've been living in Korea for 3 years now and I've been auditioning, and because of that, now I'm a little more willing to share my experiences and story times, I guess. But I forgot the story even happened, maybe because I erased it from my memory because I was so close. You failed the very last part. But basically, I was almost on one of those K-pop audition survival programs. I'm not gonna say the name of it just in case, you know, someone wants to call me back again, so don't know. But yeah, and also because it was during COVID, the experience I went through is probably a little different from normal. It started with me seeing a random audition ad on the internet, and I saw the name and I recognized the channel or the broadcasting network's name right away, and I saw it said audition. I was like, oh, okay. I looked for the age limit and there wasn't any, and then also for nationality requirement there wasn't any, so I was like, oh, this is perfect. So I filled out everything, like all the, oh my god, the audition, like the application was so long, and also because I filled it out in Korean, there were mistakes everywhere, and I had to have my friend actually help me edit it because there was like so many mistakes, which like is understandable because, you know, not Korean, but also I couldn't have that many mistakes going out. But anyways, I filmed my intro, sent in one acapella clip of me singing, and then they said mandatory was singing clip, and then optional was like you singing with the instrument or you dancing. So I sent one more clip of me dancing, and then I think maybe 2 weeks after I sent in the application, I got a call. Now, I usually never pick up calls from people I don't know, from numbers I don't know, because I think in Korea you get spam calls so much that it's just an insane amount. So it was during a time where I was working, and it was exactly when break time happened. So the students went to the bathroom, and it was like I just finished it, and I always put my cell phone down, and I just happened to look up to check if there's like any notifications or anything, and then literally at that second, like a second later, a call came, and then I was like, I don't want to pick up this number, I don't know it. But I was like, you know what, this person or this scammer or whoever it is has such great timing that you had to chose the 1 minute I'm looking at my phone. So okay, fine, I'll just pick it up. So I picked it up, and right away they were like, oh, 혹시 like 구 신디님일까? Like, are you Cindy? Good Cindy? Yeah, whatever. And then I was like, oh, 네. And then that person was like, oh, I'm from PD님, or like 작가님, like writer person, and then I immediately was like, oh, 네. And then I was like, 잠시만요, because like my students are coming in, and I tell my students that I don't know any Korean, and obviously I shouldn't be taking this type of call in front of them. So I quickly told my co-teacher, I was like, I'm sorry, I really didn't need to take this call. I'll be back in like 2-3 minutes. I mean, because anyways, it's break time anyway, so it's okay. But I like went outside and took the call, and then basically he was confirming some of the things I said on my application, and then making sure I was still living in Korea. And then they were making sure, sorry, my cat, making sure of my name and stuff, because I listed as 구 신디, but then they're like, actually, for the next rounds and for like the future stuff we're gonna do with you, let's put it as Cindy Gu. So like you can, it's very obvious that you're like more foreign. Instead of 구 신디, let's just say Cindy Gu. It sounds better. And I was like, okay, cool. And sorry, my cat's going kind of crazy right now. So after that stuff, he also asked about if I got the vaccinations yet, and obviously you had to, but I got all of them, and plus the booster shot, which I don't remember if the booster shot came, I don't know, but I was up to date with my vaccinations. But after that, he was like, okay, you need to send another video of you singing another song, and same thing up to first chorus, and send in some profile shots, like some headshots, and some were like, you know, body profile pictures and everything. And so I was like, okay, great. And it wasn't a lot of time. I think it was only given like a few days to send it in, or like within that week or something like that. It was like very short notice. It wasn't a very long time. And you guys like, oh, can you send this like by this date, or like soon. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it, you know? So sent it in and it was great. And then I think within a week after I sent it in, he gave me a call again and he was like, hey, actually, we're gonna change the program a little bit, like the concepts of the program slightly. And because of that, you have to audition again. And we're not, you know, settled with the details yet. So when we do settle it, we'll, you know, let you know of the details and you could re-audition. So I was like, oh, okay. So I was a little disappointed because, you know, I already sent in my second audition. So after a while, the writer, Takani, whatever, he called me again and he was like, actually, we did settle all the new information for the new show and all this stuff. It was only a very slight change. So he was like, technically your audition videos still passed our screening this time and even the second round. So he was like, just come to the live preliminary audition round. And that would be the only live one just cause during that time, COVID, so they didn't want a lot of real life audition rounds unless if it was like actual recording time. So I was like, oh, okay, that's great. And then he said, prepare MR, which is like your instrumental, prepare this and this. And at first he was like, oh, can you do actually singing and dancing together? Just cause, you know, time wise and obviously because of exposure wise, I don't want you being there too long. It wasn't a lot of time. So I was like, I could prepare one. But I said, if I'm allowed to just sing one of the songs I already prepared and have ready, that'd be great. But if not, I could prepare one. And he was like, oh, okay, then just sing like one of the songs that you used to sing. Day of audition, it was the weekday. So he asked me to choose a time and I told him to choose the very last hour slot just because of work. So I went to work, you know, changed, got ready, did my makeup and went to the place. And oh my God, this one floor was like a reception / waiting room. It was like not even like a small area, it was like huge. And they had like banners everywhere. They were like projecting their old show. There was cameras on the side. There was water bottles there everywhere. And there wasn't that many people just because we were the last time slot. And so I was there waiting a little bit. I contemplated whether I should do something to the camera, but I was just, all I did was just like stretch where the camera can see and like start warming up my voice. But you know, I was more concentrated on doing well than being on a camera in the waiting room. So I was like, you know, whatever. So I finally go up to another floor where it was like, oh, we were sitting in chairs waiting. And the worker there, he was like, okay, like don't be surprised when you go in, there are a lot of cameras, like more cameras and stuff more than you think. So I was like, okay, you know. So I go into the room and oh my God, I could see why everyone was very flustered. Yes, there were a lot of cameras, but the amount of people that were there was like, oh my God. I'm used to auditions. Like I do, you know, in-person auditions all the time, but it's not, at most it was like 5 people, but even that is like rare. But this was so many people. It was a U-shaped, like they put table, full of people here, full of people here, full of people there. One of those big cameras here, and then one lower, and then one higher. There's ones in the corner, one behind me coming at an angle, and then yeah, like obviously lights. And it wasn't like a stage, so I wasn't elevated. It was like a slight platform, but like it was just like one of those like just like small mat, I guess, mat type of wood. So I wasn't elevated, which I actually feel better when I'm on stage for some reason than being at the same eye level. But yeah, like oh my God, I went in and I was like uh-oh, and there was a mic on the chair with a wire. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, well, it's kind of good that I didn't sing and dance because I mean, I guess I just wouldn't use mic at all, but technically the wire would have gotten in the way. So I went in there and I introduced myself, but when I was introducing myself, my hand was like this. Because also, it's still in the beginning of me singing in general, and I haven't really performed in front of people singing wise. And also mic was like pretty much one of the first few times I used it. And so I was like this, with both my hands to make sure I wasn't shaking. So I did my introduction, and then they played my first song, and it also was up to first chorus. And then played my first song, I did it, and like now, even though I sang it for my audition in the other times, I did go off tune. Not a lot, but like like I could tell my voice it was very tight because I was so nervous, and so I couldn't be as good as I wanted to. I still like choreographed like a little bit, like with my hand gestures and everything, like I normally do with auditions, but even I knew it was like wasn't that great. And then but towards the end, like the chorus part, one of the, I think it's the main people, because she was sitting in the middle and closest to, she was like in the center, in the middle, and then she started like standing up and she started bobbing her head and she started taking pictures of me during my audition. So I was like, okay, that's good. And then I sang my other song. I think my other song went better, not completely good, but I think it did go better. But I still had to sometimes like, my hand was still like this, so I had to use my other hand to like grab it because I was kept on like going like this. But overall, the second song did go better, but I still was really nervous, so not as nearly as good as I want it to be. But yeah, after that was done, I was hoping they would ask for my dance. Now thinking about it, I should have been more active about like, 춤도 보여줄게요, like I'll like show you my dancing too, like something. If I was more proactive on it, I think it would have been better. But I think because overall I was shaking too much and my singing was already not up to my standard, not near my standard at all. I was already kind of like about myself. They asked a few questions, but then afterwards I left, and obviously the audition did not go well and I did not pass. So I was really disappointed on that, because I think they did want foreigners, I guess, and since it was a time during COVID, it was harder to get foreigners from out of country. I was proud though to even be able to experience that and get that far, especially with no agency, no backing. I didn't even use my K-pop agency or K-pop academy to help me, which usually like for these programs you do want at least a K-pop academy or those teachers helping you because they have connections. But I didn't even have that and I somehow got in. But yeah, I mean, I was so close because that was the last round, but I failed it. Now I guess I like told myself, like after that I reflected a lot, like, oh, next time if this happened I would do this, maybe even buy one of those like calming medicines to make you relaxed. But yeah, so that's a story time. If you want to hear more story times or tips or whatever, let me know. I'm gonna do them anyways, but if you have specifics, I guess you can ask in the comments. I'll get to them. But yeah, bye.